So you have to forgive the lack of prep, both personally in my outfit and two, in the setup of the production, if you will. I haven't cut off the fan, I haven't cut off the air conditioner, because I'm working back in the studio today, and one, it gets a little hot with all these lights on and just moving around as much as I have. Also, too, I want this to have a little bit of a behind-the-scenes feel, because I'm really talking about something that happens behind the scenes. I have a friend and fellow entrepreneur that wanted to talk to me today about why or how she could improve the quality of her production or of her product photography that she's taking with her iPhone to put on Etsy for the product she makes. And we were talking a little bit today about what she could do to step that up. And that got me thinking about some stuff that I wanted, some things that might help got me thinking about some things that might help other people, because if it helps her, obviously it might help someone else. But I want to start by giving a shout out to both her and her product. She made me, which I'm really appreciative of, she made me this thermos mug. That's what she's making. She makes them in different sizes. I have to say, these are next level. I appreciate her as a person, and I knew she's capable of a lot, but I have to say, these are next level. The quality is just ridiculous. The personalization is just ridiculous. She is selling these. This one, I think she says lists for about $45, and she'll do a variety of different products, and she will customize them to what you need. And I'm just, like I said, next level, super thick, really impressed with the quality, attention to detail. The rounding of the epoxy into the cup itself is seamless. I just, like I said, these are next level, and I'm super impressed. But product photography as a whole causes issues. When you're taking things at home, there's just, I mean, a lot of us have tried to do it, and if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. These in particular cause her a problem because, as you can see, they're super shiny, and that's because of the epoxy that's on them. So we talked about why she wasn't liking the pictures and what she could do, and we met today to talk a little bit about that. And I've got, forgive me ahead of time, because I've got the pictures on my iPhone, and I'm going to show them on screen, hopefully right here. But I'm looking at them now, so if you see me looking down, let me apologize for that. But I'm going to take you through them one by one and show you what I did, what the problem was, and how you can improve it at home. And you don't need a lot. I mean, this is the setup I ended up with, but you don't need all this stuff, and I'll talk to you about why. The first picture I'm showing, this was literally just set the cup down. I have two stools underneath here. Took a picture from my iPhone, and this is what showed up. Obviously, I do this for a couple of reasons. One, when you're doing product photography, any photography, it's important to pay attention to the details. You'll see that the lines are crooked, it's too far away, it doesn't fill up the screen, those things are happening. But what specifically is happening, and what she wasn't liking about the picture she was getting, was the flash is coming straight off the camera, going onto the cup and bouncing back at the camera, and that's why you're getting that bright spots. And she was particularly getting, I was a little farther back in the studio setup to absorb some light. This happens with with all photography. Anytime light source comes straight onto you, it flattens you out, it creates bright spots, and it's very unflattering. That's why in videos we do lights off to the side. Photographers will always hold the light off to the side. Portrait studios always have the strobes off to the side, because light is always better when it's not coming straight at something. And we'll get into more as I go along. The next picture is basically the same setup, but you will see that just given a little bit of thought to the angle, what was in the picture. So I lowered the camera, brought it closer, and got this picture, which already is a better picture. There's no distractions in the background. There's nothing. You're just looking at the cup. It fills it up, and I would argue that it can be even a little bit closer, but I was hurrying through these because I knew I wasn't going to keep these. But like I said, you can see the difference between the two is, one, the angles are all off, it's too far away. This is already, and this was just taken with my iPhone. The next one, I got rid of the on-camera flash, which that can apply to anything. When you have the little flash that pops up on your home camera, anything that's coming straight, that's on-camera flash. So I got rid of the on-camera flash and did off-camera lighting. In this case, I used these strobes. before you even start this, first of all, these are some of the cheapest lights I have in here. I chose my continuous lighting on purpose because that's something you can match at home. Basically, these are just fluorescent lights. They just have a bank of fluorescent lights in there. So if you've got fluorescent lights, you've got a light like this. And all they have what is called a diffusion material over that. All that is a relatively, I guess, transparent white cloth fabric. Couple things you can do is, one, just a regular light source, a white sheet, one of those sheer curtains, almost anything will work. Also, too, diffused lighting is anything that isn't a direct light source, like a flashlight being flashed on you or a flash on a camera coming at you. That's direct harsh light. An open window that sunlight isn't coming straight in through is basically diffused lighting. Because when it's daylight outside, light hits everywhere in the world, if you will. It diffuses that lighting from the direct sunlight that is the sun, comes into your window, and that's diffused lighting. So if you don't have this, which again I can't imagine you can't have this, but if you don't, a nice big open window during the bright part of the day acts as the same way. If the light is too harsh, again, a sheer panel curtain or just a semi-transparent curtain will do the same thing that this is doing. So the next picture, or the picture you're seeing, was the off-camera lighting, still using my iPhone. And the thing to note about this is the light on the right side of the cup, or on one side it always confuses me when it pops up on the screen. So on one side of the cup, you still got that lighting, and it's a little dark on the other side of the cup, if you will. In this particular case, if this had been a matted material or something that had curves to it, it would even look better. She's going to struggle with these because they are coated in epoxy, and that is shiny. I don't know if this case that's a bad thing. I think to me that's a selling point. So having the light reflect off that surface, I think, is still a selling point. But controlling where that light hits that cup is the point here, and having it not wash out the detail of the cup. The other thing notable about this picture is it looks a little orange to me. Light has color, temperature, fluorescent light versus warm light, cold light, that kind of thing. That is super easy to adjust, and any phone will adjust what is called white balance, and that's the color of light. Most cameras literally have an automatic white balance adjustment that will take it from the orange color to giving it will make whites white, basically, and that's what automatic white balance means. So basically, it makes anything that's supposed to be white, white, and that's the difference in that picture and the picture you're looking at now. And that's all I did. I just hit an automatic, not in post-production or any of my fancy, literally on the phone, I hit automatic white balance adjustments, and it fixed the color temperature of the light. So already with one light source, and again, this is some of the cheapest lighting I have, and it's really just fluorescent bulb. So if you've got this with some sort of diffusion material over it, you've got a light source. So an off-camera light source, fix the white balance, and you can see we're already making a marked difference in the product. The other thing I did is the one side of the picture was dark, so I added what they call a bounce card or a feel card or some sort of feel. Basically, you would be amazed how much light will bounce off of something, well, really everything, and you don't realize that until you add what is called a fill card. So what I did was all I did was holding my iPhone in one hand, holding this up in the other. That's the only difference between those two pictures, and that's what filled in that white on that side on the cup. I use that on purpose because those are dirt cheap at most hobby stores. So what I have here is a balance, a reflector, and it's got different sides, so that's the white side of it, and that's what I use for the final picture that I'm going to show you. And again, those are still cheap. I'm less than $50, I think. But if you don't want to do that, those white cardboard things from anything can act as a feel card, and one that'll block out some of the background. Like if you have an unpleasant background, You set a couple of those up. Now you've got a pleasant background, and you've got some fill like what I'm using here in the final product. So, and again, I think those are $10. You figure if you bought 2 or 3 of them, you're paying $20. The lady I was talking to today had a really good idea, and I actually want to try it now. Those science fair things, you know, they have the 3 corners, and they would bounce light, and they stand up. I'm thinking that might be a great thing, and I may go back and look at it. So if she does it first, if I do it, I'll definitely have to give her credit for that. The other thing, so that's, I added the bounce card, I added the off-camera lighting. The picture you're looking at now, I like this picture. I would use this picture on an Etsy page, on whatever. All I did with this is if on an iPhone, and let me be clear, I love iPhones over Samsungs and Galaxy. This is one of the profiles that were in there. This was, I think, Vivid. Literally, it looked like the picture before that. I don't even think I fixed the white bounce before I did it, but I hit Vivid, and that's what came out of it. I don't think I did anything else to this picture. I think off-camera lighting, fill card, hit Vivid, got that picture. I like that picture. I would use that picture for anything. Maybe crop it in a little bit, take the bottom off. If you're not crazy about the background, use another one. A lot of sites, and I'm not specifically sure about Etsy, but I know like Facebook does it, and I think Instagram does it, they'll compress the quality of your photo. So using a camera that has a lot of megapixels and all that, in some cases is a waste of time, because you're going to add all this sharpness and all this quality to your picture only to put it on a site, and they're going to compress it anyway. So with that said, I think an iPhone photo in this case might be all you need. I think she's using Etsy, and I think this photo would be all she needed. And it's all about taste too. And I highly encourage, if you're doing whatever you're doing, make it match your taste, make it look like your product, and there are ways to do that. And again, this is all real high level stuff, but I just want to show you what can be done and try to explain why she wasn't liking some of what she was getting. And I want to impress on you the fact that you don't need to use your DSLR, your camera, your professional camera, even your home camera. But if you do, and that's what this picture is, it will make a difference. Anytime you up the level of the picture, I think it's going to make a difference in general. And before anybody says anything, I use this backdrop. Obviously, it's a photography backdrop. It's nice to have. I've used it in portraits if you don't have it. One, if you don't have it, a white sheet this close up would work. A curtain, anything that you have, it doesn't even have to be white. What I like about white in this case is it again bounces light. So light hits the back of it, bounces back towards the product, wraps the product in light, so it adds more light to it. I added this to the scene because I can't hold everything. So that's what that is. But again, someone holding it for you, propping it up on a chair with that bounce card will give you the same effect you're getting here. The other thing too is I took everything off my camera that makes it next level. I used automatic everything. There's, and I don't want to get too heavy in it, but if you know the difference, there's JPEG, which is what your camera, your phone takes, and your point and shoots take, the JPEG, and there's RAW. RAW is what I use, and you can process it, and you do a lot more. This photo is JPEG, so it's straight out of camera. Took the picture, put it on my phone, and that's all I did to it. It's JPEG. It is, there's a thing called ISO, and basically the higher the ISO, the more grainy a picture can look. I let the ISO up real high on this, and the reason I did that is because there are modes on your cameras that will, when they do an automatic exposure triangle, and I think I'm going to make a video that talks a little bit about aperture priority, will sacrifice the ISO to get a lot of light in there. So this is a really high ISO. This is really what they would consider an unacceptable ISO. It's a high ISO, automatic everything, JPEG. I took off everything that makes my camera professional, and I did zero post-processing to this photo. Literally put it on my phone, and that's what you're looking at now. So with that said, and actually I have to say, of all the photos, I may end up liking the Vivid one, this one I'm showing here now. That may be my favorite, especially if I had done this setup with the white background. I think that would have been fine, and I think that would have worked well in most cases. The other thing I would suggest just briefly is videos are always a great idea too, and you can do those on your phone. She's done a really smart thing. She bought one of those things that spins. I think taking a video, letting it spin anytime you can do that and give the buyer a good perspective on what you're selling. I think it's a good idea. The other thing too is I highly recommend staging it, so people get a sense of size, they get a sense of use, they get a sense of who they could give it to, when they could use it, that kind of thing. I think that's always a good idea because there's really no way of telling how big this is. Having someone holding it, having it beside a standard something that we all know the size of, I think is a good idea. And then, staging a photo, putting it on a table, picnic table outside by the lake, it's just always a good idea too. And with that said, staging the photo, making sure you're careful about what's in it and using your iPhone, I think that'll present a picture as any. So I hope this helps somebody. I'm going to recommend that, if nothing else, I did it for my friend that's selling the cups, because one, she deserves to shout out for these quality products, and two, I want her to. This is probably a much better conversation than when we had at Dunkin' Donuts today. I hope this helped somebody. I hope it helped you specifically, and hope to see you in the next video.